Well, good afternoon, everybody, or morning, or evening, or middle of the night, whatever the case is for you guys. I had a chance out here this afternoon to review this Kawasaki Mule that we got here a while back, and we've got about 70 hours on it right now. So we've done most of the stuff that we want to do with it. So I figured it's a fair time to talk about the pros and cons, or just give it a quick rundown. First of all, I'm going to talk real quick about why we settled on getting a side-by-side for the farm. Years ago we had an ATV and it worked really well, and once it kind of ran its course, we switched over to using a little Ford Ranger extended cab pickup, four-wheel drive, just to run around the farm. We've got 360 acres here that we farm. It's kind of more like a hobby farm these days, and then we enjoy hunting too. So we need a little vehicle that's going to run around, help us cut trees, repair fences, check cattle, and drag deer out of the woods, that sort of thing. Once the Ford Ranger kind of hit its limit, it started having typical issues that you'd see with a pickup with over 250,000 miles. I don't know what it had on it, but so it had its issues and was winding down, and repairs needing to be made just to have it roll around the farm. And so I decided that I would start shopping for side-by-sides, and was looking really at auction sites online and that sort of thing, and they were bringing a fairly high price, and I had a somewhat specific need in mind. But the last one that I was looking at on auction this summer, by the time I saw the auction price plus the fees on top of that, it needed tires, it needed a few other repairs, and I just started adding it up, and it was climbing closer and closer to some of the new prices of some of the side-by-sides that we could find. And then after I lost that auction, I just decided to bite the bullet and find something for the farm. We needed something. Summer was on us, and fences needed fixing and that sort of thing, so we just needed something to roll around the farm. We settled on this model because this has the convertible, well, I guess I should say this is a Kawasaki Mule 4010 trans 4x4. There you go. It's this year's model. I ended up finding it online, new inventory from Dillon Brothers Motorsports in Omaha, Nebraska, and they were really good to deal with. It was the only one I could find online, and I called up and said, hey, do you still have this unit? They said yes, but a lot of people have been asking about it. So I put down a deposit. I said I'll be up Saturday early morning to get it if everything checks out. And so made the couple-hour drive. That was Father's Day, around Father's Day weekend, maybe the week before. So I ran up there and picked it up. They were excellent to deal with. But what we wanted, we have 3 young kids. My brothers have kids and their families. Got mom and dad here on the farm. When Darren and I are running around hunting, we need a couple of us on the machine. When dad and I are out tending the farm, mom and dad often are the ones that use it primarily, since it stays at the farm. So we just needed the capacity for more people than fewer. So this unit will convert. The seat will fold up and the bed will expand to more of a full bed, and that's just simply done by loosening these latches, folding the seat up, these panels swing out, this back bar slides forward, and then you have a full bed, and the bed will raise, which will expose the engine bay. So that's the reason we needed the convertible. Sometimes we need a bigger bed to haul more stuff, and sometimes we need more seat capacity to haul more people. So this was really the unit that I settled on. Besides that, it was just more economical. There are some other like pro models of side-by-sides out there, but that's not really what we need. Maybe 15 years ago, that would have been the better model if we were younger and a little more rowdy, but right now we've settled down a little bit more, and we just needed something pretty basic, easy to use, and it's going to have that convertible feel. I like the metal box. I've never been around a like a fiberglass or plastic box, so I can't attest to that, but I did like the idea of having the metal box just for durability, I guess. So that's what I was looking for, and the price tag was kind of the reasonable aspect there as well. One of the things I do like about this that you'll get with the mules is you can pop this tab here. Excuse me. Nope. Sorry guys. Fold that up and you've got storage under there for all your miscellaneous stuff. So that's handy. One of the downsides, I guess, to this is sometimes that latch doesn't get in the right orientation, and then you got to take those screws loose and get the latch unstuck. But pretty easy to navigate around that. So you've got storage capacity in the front. The nice feature on this one is the electric power steering, which makes it handy if you have those younger drivers in training. They can handle it really well. These mirrors were aftermarket. Darren got those, sent those up to the farm, and Dad put those on. It's got your standard issue seat belts, parking brake, the seats of course, convertible seats, and then the bed. Nice, easy to handle latches on the back. Good capacity as far as just kind of part-time use of the bed. We have the cattle cubes there. We always have fence insulators, some fencing supplies, usually a chainsaw in there. But overall, just a really handy, durable machine. I like just the open passenger compartments, so you can just hose those down, and that works really really handy there. One of the things I really liked about this that they showed was we've got the breathers. So this is the air intake for the engine, and it's up high. Some of the downside to some other brands was that if you have your air intake down low, it's kicking up a lot of dust and dirt from the wheels and sucks that in. Now these aren't necessarily meant to be snorkels for high water use. We haven't really tested it in that capacity, but it does potentially help with the dust and dirt intake. Once you get those air filters, air cleaners dirty and full of dust, it can really dampen the power. One of the things they warned me about was that in high water use, you don't want to get water into the CVT transmission case there, and that can happen potentially with high water, go through high water. So that's something to be guarded against. Now this does have that CVT, continuously variable transmission, and I asked about that because I guess I was a little cautious about that, but they said they had really few problems with that. They said the potential problem would be heating that belt up under high load, which would mean perhaps if you're doing a lot of driving in mud, sandy conditions, or just constant driving where you're putting a lot of load on that transmission, it creates heat, and that's where you get failure. I didn't feel like we would be using it in that capacity because, like I said, if it's long trips, it's going to be on a dirt road, just going from gate to gate on the farm, or we're just doing short little jaunts through the hills, and that's not going to be continuous strain on there, and we'd have the ability to stop and start, which we'd do. So got a nice bumper. I guess one of the downsides potentially would be the ground clearance on this. It's nothing to brag about. Now we do have some bigger rocks up in those hills that you can navigate around, and that has not been an issue so far, but I suppose you could put different wheels and tires and gain a little bit on there, but that was not a big point in choosing a machine. All the other points were above it. So that's kind of the rundown. Let me go ahead and show you, if I can, one-handed, how this seat works. So you flip that up on this side, run around here real fast, flip this up on this side, you pull that latch, well, there's pins on the seat that's got to fold up. There you go. Kind of hard to do one-handed. Then we've got these guys that swing open. And I'm sure the video is terrible on this demonstration, but and then we've got this little bar to unlatch on that side. Run around. So this is not the handiest. I've seen machines that have like a rack on the top that this slides on and works really well. I'm gonna see about setting it down here. Maybe. There we go. Get this back out of the way. Can muscle. Maybe muscle that up. So again, not the easiest to do this conversion, but can be done one person. And there you have it. And then you just lock those pegs back in, and then you've got your full bed. So I'm going to go ahead and convert that back real quick. That back in. Like that. And then we'll latch this back down. All right. So I guess that's kind of the overview. I didn't talk about the hitch back here, but you got your standard receiver hitch there. I guess y'all can look up all the specs and everything. I don't have all that memorized, but if you're wanting to look at cargo bed capacity and towing capacity, weight wise and that sort of thing, you can look that up. But all of those passed basically our needs, and just got to be kind of careful. Okay, so one of the things that I saw people bring up online with this unit, and it was kind of like more recreational riding, was its ability to go up steeper hills. And I don't know if you can get the gist of the hills that we have here. Some of them out there are kind of steep. Maybe we'll run out there and do a test drive real quick. And I would agree that it seems underpowered or undergeared for some things. But that being said, this has a low range in the transmission, and it's four-wheel drive. So you simply take your time, you stop at the bottom of the hill, shift to low range, put it in four-wheel drive, and away you go. So the way we need the machine to be used, that's not really a big point. The one thing I will say is that it seems like the brakes don't hold real well on steep grades. In fact, just in driving even, the brakes are a little bit lacking. So I guess that's probably my number one negative on this machine. But when you're on a hillside, if you do have trouble, it'll be a little bit tricky to stop and perhaps get it in like low range or four-wheel drive, because if you're loaded with people or have the bed completely loaded, the brakes don't hold great. And then the other thing is, it doesn't have a tremendous amount of engine braking either. So just be a little bit aware of how you drive, and you'll be fine. But even at that, it has had no problems handling our hills, and that's even with like Dad, Darren, and I, and some of the kids on the machine. It works right up them. It'll spin the tires a little bit on some of the loose rocks and that sort of thing, but that's to be expected. But handles that well. We do have some bigger rocks, like I said, just carefully manage around those. We're not planning to be too rowdy with this. We just need it to work for us and work for a long time. So that's the gist of the Kawasaki Mule. Now we can go take a little bit of a test drive. I forgot to mention that we have 2 glove boxes that offer good. That sheet is for the seats, because if you leave the machine sitting in the hot sun, this black seat cover will get quite warm. But good handy storage there, cup holders, that sort of thing. All right, let's take a drive. We're going to leave it in high range as far as we can, and then I'll try to let you know when I'm shifting. Much of a rise, but just for fun. So this hill, for example, is pretty much one of our steeper ones, and it's one that we regularly have to go up and down. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in low 4 just for fun. I know we could probably make it in high 4, but we'll do it that way. No issue there. Back into high, 2-wheel drive. The horses. Do low 4 here again. Nothing too big, but I just want to see what it'll. Well, might have to bounce it a little bit. I got had that one front wheel off the ground and just a little bit of a bounce. So I'm inclined to think that it's no rock crawler, but we don't need to be messing around with that kind of stuff. It's how you tear things up. So just a good all-around kind of utility machine. Yeah, these horses kind of want to see what's in the bed here, so let's go say hi to the horses. There's Brandy. And there's Shadow. You girls want some cubes? The cattle cubes. Do you care? All right, good horses. See, I'm 100% on the brakes right now, and we're not to a complete stop. So you just want to be aware of that if you're going on steep grades. I got other stuff to do, but that's the gist of the mule. It's been extremely dry this summer, so they opened up CRP to grazing and hay, because ordinarily otherwise you wouldn't get to run the cattle out there. And you could see when we went around the corner earlier, the cattle were out there. We have this temporary electric fence set up. So that might change the hunting a little bit, but I think here in the next week or so we'll pull the cattle out of the pasture and get them back closer to the barn.